Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. This is what's passing for news today. You got it from dailyhodl.com. XRP facing pile of what-ifs in push for new rally, says crypto analyst. Oh, I can't wait to dive into this one. I got some thoughts to share with you on this. And then I'll end the video with something a little more uplifting. And since I am not a maximalist of any coin, I'm happy to cover this, even though I'm most excited and most, invigorated when it comes to news surrounding XRP. Happy to report on some stories that are not XRP specific, which I almost always save for the tail end of my videos, because I know that this is an XRP centric channel, and that's the reason people are coming here. Trust me, my excitement is in line with yours. But I got a piece from Cointelegraph about how Bitcoin returns have dwarfed every single IPO since 2010. I just thought it was a fun piece, and I'm happy to highlight some positive Bitcoin news because, hey, I'm not a maximalist. However, check this out. This piece here, it covers thoughts and comments from Joe Saz, who is a self-avowed Bitcoin maximalist. Before we dive into this, if you would please delicately tap that like button, and if you're a fan of Ripple and XRP, and you are not a maximalist, because being a maximalist is kind of silly, go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel. You will fit right in here. We're all friends. So this piece begins. Crypto analyst and Block TV reporter Joe Saz says he thinks XRP may be facing a fundamental weakness that will continue to drive the price of the third largest cryptocurrency by market cap lower. Okay, before I dig into the piece, little just brief background on Joe here. Let me click. I think I put his. Yeah, here we go. So here's his page pulled up. Here he is. And look, I've interacted with him a few times, and he's always been perfectly nice. The way in which he communicates, I perceive it as professional. I haven't seen any, unless I missed it, I have not seen any personal attacks from him. But again, he is a self-avowed the Bitcoin maximalist. That's where he's coming from. He despises XRP, and that has been made quite clear, despite the fact that he seems to have a very, I would characterize it as friendly demeanor. That's the way he comes across to me every time I've seen anything from him in video or in writing. Now, that said, he's had, for instance, a very popular XRP community member, Matt Hamilton, who is at Hammertoe on Twitter. I learned a ton from him. I continue to learn from him. He knows a lot from the tech side. Matt Hamilton, he, excuse me, especially when I entered the space early on, he's just one of those guys, and I've cited him in the past as being kind of pivotal in helping me to understand what actually, what's going on in the crypto space, what's unique about XRP, why is it reasonable to be excited about XRP, all that good stuff, all the fundamental stuff you'd want to know, especially when you're joining the world of crypto. What would you need to know? And so Joe Saz had Matt Hamilton on his channel, and this may have been, I can't remember how long ago it was. Heck, it could have been over half a year ago at this point. I really can't recall off the top of my head, but it was a really cordial interaction between the two. And consider, at this point, Joe says, again, self-proclaimed Bitcoin maximalist, he had all these opinions about XRP, but he knew almost nothing about it. And so he sat down with Matt Hamilton. Matt Hamilton, great orator. He was really good at explaining exactly the background of Ripple and XRP, the differences between the two. One's a company, one's a cryptocurrency. Some things as basic as that, but some things that are much more in-depth. Really kind of laid out the landscape. And Joe was just kind of taking it. He was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. Those types of comments and just listening and this and that. And it seems as though he was learning. And so, given that he learned a lot and proceeded to learn a lot, he's interacted a lot with Galgatron, another very popular XRP community member. He did learn quite a bit, and I have seen, I must say this, despite how cordial he seems and professional in that sense, there are certain things that he says where I feel like I know that he knows better because he's had conversation on this. Facts have been presented to him where now he's saying things that are blatantly false. That to me it appears disingenuous. That's how it appears to me, and so I have to be honest in stating that. Even though certainly nothing personally against Joe, he seems like a perfectly nice guy, but it just, again, the impression that some of what's being said here is a bit disingenuous. And he really is coming from ideological background. It's the whole thing, down with banks, down with government, that type of mentality. Bitcoin's the one and only. There will be no other coins. Okay, so now that we have that, I had to kind of set the table so you understand where we're coming from, and I want to cover what he had to say here. So here's the piece continues. On a new episode of Trader's Take, Joe says the future of XRP is facing a whole heap of what-ifs. And here's a quote. We're trading below what was a very long-standing set of trend lines right here at 28 cents. That was all the way back to December of 2018. We broke it violently, and this is what's really got me going crazy right now. I see this massive attempt to break the trend of lower highs and trying to get into more of our channel that XRP has historically fallen back to even after breaking into other areas. This has been a pretty nice channel for a long time in terms of stability and a place where you can believe XRP will return eventually. We have descending volume going into a pennant formation with equal possibilities on both ends of that spectrum. I would say I'm bearish for now. We do have a tendency to make our way back to this channel above 28 cents, but as you can see, we've been rejected twice. To me, it's so silly. I don't know why. I don't care. Even if you're a maximalist, why can we not just once and for all acknowledge that all coins are tethered to the price action of Bitcoin? If you want to make the case that there are variances in the short term, trading opportunities, that's perfectly fine. But the way in which it's presented by Joe and many others in the space, the way that I keep perceiving it, as though in 2019 it's presented the way this is the way that I genuinely perceive it. It's that people want you to believe that coins, whatever market value they have today, it's based on merit and fundamentals, and that just couldn't be further from the truth. Why is that not being articulated to people? Anyway, the piece continues here. Saz notes the number of big announcements from Ripple, including its new partnership with payments giant MoneyGram, have yet to impact the price of XRP. Oh, I couldn't disagree more. Hold on, though. So here's I'll show you my thoughts, but here's a quote. What's going to happen if this guy wins the lawsuit that XRP is a security and XRP has to get delisted from all these American exchanges? There's a whole heap of what-ifs on either end of the spectrum. So I think it's a little curious. I'm really curious to see how the support for an asset plays out with such bad press potentially forthcoming. And more importantly, the good press having very little impact on price. No, all of the good news is the reason that XRP is positioned as one of the top cryptocurrencies and has been consistently for the better part of a decade. Yes, it's true. XRP's price is tethered to Bitcoin. Breaking news, shocker. It kind of is, because not enough people acknowledge that, frankly. But there's a reason. There are enough people that do parse things out, and that's why we see that it's third market cap right now. There is something to this indeed. And so the more news we see that breaks, the more confidence people have to hold. If people were not holding, you would see the price actually drop. But just wait until utility kicks in. It's just such early days. It's just not going to happen overnight. Okay, and so I would say that the MoneyGram deal, it didn't cause a price spike. Not with XRP, it did with the MoneyGram stock, which is not surprising. It's not surprising to me that XRP price itself didn't spike in any meaningful way. What did it go up, like half a cent? I can't remember. It was something small the day of, and people are getting frustrated. I'm like, no, this is good. This instills confidence. It still does for those people in the space that get it. People like you and me that follow the news on a daily basis. Does that not make you feel more confident as it pertains to the staying power of XRP? Right. Well, for me, it does. It's just one thing, and it's not just Ripple doing it. It's all the other builders building on top of it's all the other developers building on top of the XRP ledger as well. But as far as XRP being a security, my gosh, it's completely nonsensical. To me, this is a big nothing. And if you're talking about because the way he's positioned is, mind you, there should be legitimate fear in your mind of XRP being labeled a security and thus delisting this and that. Oh, the world's over. Well, XRP is a global phenomenon, okay? Understand that. So the United States declares XRP to be a security. Things move on, and maybe Ripple doesn't even stay in the United States under this crazy scenario, which is not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. But, from my perspective, it's kind of silly to believe that it's reasonable to think that XRP could go that way, especially when you see the rest of the world actually going the opposite direction. You've got the FCA in the UK, which is the Financial Conduct Authority, stating that XRP, from a utility perspective, it's the same as Ethereum and Bitcoin. That's the direction that the world is going. And of course, if given that the XRP ledger is absolutely sufficiently decentralized, it's more decentralized than the Bitcoin blockchain. Given that's the case, there's no way that XRP could be a security of any company. It just couldn't be it absolutely could not be the case. And so when I see stuff like this, to me, it's just complete FUD. It's complete silliness. Anyway, piece continues. FX Street analyst Ken Chigbo is also looking at XRP's movement and agrees XRP is in a bearish pennant, with the crypto asset finding strong support at 25 cents. And here's a quote. XRP/USD found decent comfort at the big 25-cent mark, which has helped prevent free fall. Price action is stuck within another daily bearish pennant structure, subject to downside risks. Okay, super duper. Still, where's the acknowledgement that it's moving in tandem? Because scale out on any chart. Pick a bigger time frame. XRP moves in tandem with Bitcoin. Ripple recently responded to accusations that its sale of XRP has kept the price of the digital asset from rising along with most of the crypto market this year. The San Francisco startup, which owns more than half of the total supply of XRP, with most of its holdings locked in escrow, says XRP's supply inflation rate is lower than both Bitcoin and Ethereum, which, by the way, I did cover just the other day, and that is absolutely true. Actually, I mentioned it in a video earlier today, too. That is the case. Anyway, the company has also announced it plans to substantially reduce its sales of XRP in the third quarter of this year. So there you go. In my mind, this is a big nothing, and there's just so many people in the space. That's why you will see in a lot of crypto media, and that's why I'm happy to call this stuff out. You'll see a ton of people in the crypto media. You can tell that there's a narrative behind what they're saying, the way in which they want to lead your thought. And I just want facts to speak for themselves. And so when things are one-sided, or I keep seeing, story after story that's about XRP, like I'm telling you, it is amazing how much XRP is in the news. And it's just, there's some positive stuff, but you can see what these crypto media outlets are doing, the way they want to position XRP in the minds of their readers. And it's definitely not in the positive. Deserves to be called out, and I'm happy to do it. Check out this. This is just a fun, quick. I'm just going to read a couple of these tweets here. This is from @RabbitKitClub on Twitter. Tweeted out, XRP ledger, 49 million and something, contained a whopping 370 transactions. Assuming a generous close time of 3.5 seconds, that is more than 105 transactions per second. Then in parentheses states, IIRC, this is the most I've seen since decentralization started. Bitcoin and Ethereum don't even come close to that throughput. Galgatron responded, this is why I don't understand why people don't believe we can hit 1,500 transactions per second on Ledger. This example shows we're already peaking at 10% of the full capacity, even in this primordial adoption phase of XRP. So there you go. It's just a fun couple tweets I thought I'd highlight for you. All right, last piece, and then I'll wrap up the video. This is from Cointelegraph.com, titled, Bitcoin returns have dwarfed every tech IPO since 2010, new data shows. Bitcoin's performance has outstripped mainstream investments in internet firms since 2010 by 338 million%, it has been claimed. Twitter user Crypto Godfather, CEO of blockchain-focused magazine Block Journal, shared data to corroborate his point on August 27th. The earliest price data for Bitcoin dates back to March of 2010, when the industry's first, and now defunct, exchange BitcoinMarket.com started its operations. The coin's value was just 0.003 cents. Oh my god, that's amazing. That's like where XRP was just a couple years ago. Anyway, meaning that today's price point of just over $10,100 represents an astronomical appreciation. Over the same time period, even the most lucrative investment in an internet firm since its public listing in online advertising platform, The Trade Desk sealed a profit of just 1,317%. Which, by the way, that is astonishing. Those are staggering returns. I just know we're used to seeing those percentages and bigger in crypto, but still, it is a pretty impressive return. Piece continues. The earliest data archived on Bitcoin's price on CoinMarketCap from April 2013 still reveals a 7,420% increase over a 6-year time frame. And I've got a graphic on the screen, so if you want to see the top ones here, right here, performance since IPO 2010, 2019, it's on the screen right now. Feel free to hit pause if you want to take a look at some of these bad boys. If you are driving, though, keep your hands on the wheel at 10 and 2, motorist. Don't become crashed into other vehicles, humans, or animals. Not good. And then the piece continues. If we look back to Bitcoin's historic bull run in winter 2017, the coin's appreciation since its first recorded valuation stood at a whopping 666 million%. Man, that's amazing. Anyway, in July, Cointelegraph reported that Grayscale Investments' Bitcoin Trust was yielding almost 300% appreciation on the year, vastly outperforming mainstream investments reflected in the S&P 500, 18.7%, and Global Dow, 12.9% over the same time period. And I still suspect I'm totally on board with Anthony Pompliano and Mark Yusko, the creators of Morgan Creek Digital hedge fund. And they believe, they stated it, I guess it was earlier this year, it's been a while since they announced it, but they believe, and they put out a challenge, that the crypto asset class will outperform the S&P 500 over the next decade, and they made $1 million wager. I don't think anybody's taken them up on it, but I absolutely believe that they're going to be proven to be correct if you could fast forward 10 years from now, and then everybody's going to wish that they had jumped in way back in the day. But that's okay. Even if you jump in a decade from now, the bottom line is the crypto asset class is going to have staying power. So even if you jump in a decade from now when things are more developed, yeah, maybe the returns perhaps won't be as exciting. Maybe they won't be by then. We'll see. But I think that there's going to be a reason, because you're talking about an asset class that's at that point 20 years old, a little bit more of a track record. There'd be more reason to believe that it's safer relative to today to actually invest in this space. A lot of people are still way too afraid to put any amount of money in. I get it. But I'm happy to risk a little something here, even if it's high risk, which admittedly it is. I'm well researched on the fundamentals here, and I believe there is reason to believe that XRP will be one of the greatest success stories in all of crypto, unless something unforeseen changes. But the way things are looking now, pretty good. Anyway, and then the piece wraps up. That same month, the digital asset manager's in-house research had indicated that Bitcoin had gained 47% this May, at a time of intensifying United States-China trade tensions, making it the best performing asset of the period. A marked contrast to the Chinese yuan's faltering. So there you go, boys and girls. Thank you so much for listening. That's it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!